Hello, this is a review of a fountain pen by Montegrappa. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. In the model they call Elmo, with this material called Wave Splash, which may or may not be exclusive to Goulet pen. From my coveting it, upon its arrival, due to some customs issue, it became quite unpleasant to gaze upon it, and so I cast it aside and decided that maybe I should sell it on. Given that I pay several $100s in taxes for this pen and another pen, it was all a nightmare. I will talk about it some other time. So I was going to sell this uninked. I decided that I just want both of them out of my life. However, upon doing my math again, I realized that I was going to lose so much money without even the pleasure of at least satisfying my curiosity about what Montegrappa is like, especially that this is my first. So I decided, what the hey, I was going to ink it. So I did, and I love it. So first, let's get the unpleasant things out of the way. What I don't like about it, that branding over there, I don't know what it is. It just feels so intrusive to this really smooth, streamlined, understated elegance here, and suddenly we have that, even though it is presented there rather elegantly itself, it just feels like it's breaking the flow for me. And so I ask myself, if I am the designer of this pen and if I insist on having my branding on the pen itself, which is fair enough, where would I put it? Because there's almost no metal part here. Usually you have a big band around the cap where people put their branding around like that, with Sailor, with Pelikan, and a lot of other pens. But here, what makes this so interesting and attractive is also why you can't brand it there. And if you open this, you can see that the threading is actually on the metal part itself, instead of on some pen. Usually the threading is acrylic and the band is usually attached to the cap. So I really appreciate that. I really appreciate not the fact that the threading is on this metal, but the fact that it's above the grip, above the section, and the fact that this is given the center of gravity that is quite low in the pen rather than high at the back, which is always a mystery to me. Why would anyone design a pen with a center of gravity so high up there when most of the times you hold your pen this way? So this makes it really, really comfortable for me because the weight is forward instead of backward, working against the hand. So I guess we're going into what I like now. The only thing I don't like is just the brand, the position of the branding there. So it's really a matter of aesthetic. Everything about this pen I really like. So the center of gravity being there, and the nib. The nib has this feedback which reminds me of Sailor, but with more gush. So it has the smooth feedback, but also this gush of ink. And I wasn't sure whether that was just my sense of it or whether it's true. And I'm sure more experienced fountain pen vloggers know how to show this to you. I think you sort of, let me show you. I think they do this. You can see that's really quite wet. And then, for example, if you use another pen, it may not be as gushy. But also, my other theory is that this Akebi, Manyo Akebi here, has started to show a lot of the green. And this is a medium nib. And the other medium nib that I've used haven't shown as much of the green. A B Sailor, B Nib Japanese broad. It is the equivalent of medium European medium and Italian medium, which is what this is. So, and that is inked with Magno Acrylic as well, sailors. And we can so there it is. As you can see, for whatever reason, it writes darker. It writes with the green appearing more, and you could potentially think that that's because this have dried up, and ink are usually darker when it's wet. And so the best way really is to write them together same time. Unfortunately, my current B nib is not inked. So this was a few months ago, and so we can contrast that with a slightly older. This is what I've written a few days ago. So that's the Sailor Broad, Japanese Broad, the equivalent of Western Italian Medium, Magno Acrylic, a few months ago, a few days ago. So you can assume that it has sufficiently dried. And yes, this is a bit yellower, the paper, and that's a bit whiter, but I've written it there. If anything, it actually looks darker on this white paper here. So let me see if it's dried. So that's dried already. So you could see how much darker it writes on with the Montegrappa's wetter, more juicy nib. If you think about a thicker nib, this is much thicker. This is the zoom nib, Sailor zoom nib, and that's really pink. So the green, doesn't come through there. And we have a thinner one, of course. This is medium fine, and you can see how pink it is and how much of the green pops up there. So I guess my educated guess is that this is gushy, as you can see here, but also feels so, experientially speaking. So it has the feedback of Sailor and the juiciness of wetter nibs that I love. It's a really good combination for me personally. It has the feedback of Sailor and the gushiness of very, very wet European nib. And I really, really like that, combined with the front weighting and the beautiful ornate Lush design of the nib, which reminds me of Sailor as well. Sailor nibs are lushly designed, and that's a very, I think I've seen a lot of Montegrappa with this nib. I think that's their trademark. So as you can see, the nib is medium there, and I'll put more details down below of the material, etc. The feed is plastic, but it's the front weighting really that makes this such a pleasure to use. The front weighting, the feedback of the nib combined with the gushiness of it, compared to my broad Sailor, which broad Japanese equivalent to medium Italian, I believe. This is more gushy, and it's just, but most of all, the green of my Magno Acrylic for a year now. This is my first time seeing the green coming through this particular ink. So let me try that again. There's no line variation for obvious reasons, because it's not flex. Let me turn it upside down. a bit scratchy. And it's thinner, but you see how it still goes. Yeah, this is my new favorite pen. Love it, love it, love it. It hasn't surpassed my experience with Platinum for the moment, or Pelican, but this would make my top 5 for sure. I have another Montegrappa coming my way, and when that comes, I will come here and share. So I'm very excited. That is pre-owned, so the nib isn't of my choosing. It's fine italics, so that will be interesting, and I'm very much looking forward to expanding my exploration of fountain pens to other makers, as well as outside of my comfort zone in terms of the nib. So that is Montegrappa, Elmo, Wave Splash, maybe exclusive to Goulet, maybe not, the material. And the ink is Manyo Akebi Sailors, and the paper here is Tomoe River on a Hobonichi Weeks. I'll talk to you soon. Quickly look at the box. The box is very elegant. It matches the pen really, really well. I really like the whole silver metalware, blue, cream, gray, the whole color palette there. Comes in a plastic like this with, I think that's not a converter, sorry, cartridge, which I am using for my Kaweco. It performs beautifully, the cartridge. And in here we have the paperwork, and so that's just a tray with felt fake suede. I don't know what you call this, fake felt, I think. So this is the yeah, and then it goes all here, and the whole thing goes into a sleeve with this really lovely texture here that resembles linen, that resembles cloth, but it's paper. So